We are with Andy Alberlan, and I just want to congratulate him for being three times bestseller author. This time, actually, he wrote his own book, and he's done amazing job on cover design and doing his book. And I really wish to know about him more and why he actually wrote this book, what was the inspiration, and what he's doing in real life. Welcome to my show.
Thank you, Pantea. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, tell me about yourself first, Andy, and what you do, and what was your inspiration.
Sure. Well, my name is Andy Alberlan, and I live in Western New York, which is New York State. I live out in the country, in between Rochester and Buffalo, and really my background is in construction and woodworking, carpentry, furniture making, things of that nature. I've been an artist my whole life, really more just as a passion and something that I just had to do for myself rather than something that I did for profit. And when it came to, I've been a New York State licensed home inspector for 12 years, and that took my construction background and it gave me a way to connect with people. A home inspection, when you're purchasing a home, it's like your most vulnerable time. You're the most raw emotionally and logically. And so I really found that I had stepped into that profession because I knew a lot about houses, but I kind of pretty quickly realized that I was in the people business, and it was just the houses that were bringing us together. And so that really, I think that kind of inspired me when I would meet people that I needed to give them the information and the delivery the way that they needed to hear it, and to be able to kind of figure out who people were and what they needed pretty quickly. And so that was something that I just honed over the years. And I kind of went through a rough patch in my life, and it kind of put me in a different position where everything I thought I knew about was seemed like it was wrong or something, and that sent me down this path of personal development. And the more that I learned about some of these different aspects of personal development, that anybody that's into it, that it almost becomes like our own vocabulary, and that we're talking about these certain things, but most people that they don't know what the heck we're talking about. So that was what really, I get this very strong urge in February, March of 2020, like really strong urge to start writing this book. And so much so that I like to go and walk out back. We have about 15 acres, and I take the dogs out there and walk around. And I like came bursting into the house to get a notepad and start writing all this stuff down, because I just got this like it was called Today is the Day at first, because that's all I could think of. Today is the day that I start writing this. And I just started putting it down. And here, a year and a half later, here we are with this beautiful book. And it really is, it's got a beautiful weight to it. And it's a really high quality book. So that's kind of what's led up to this point.
So, Andy, what is inside the book? What do you mean awakening? What did you write there?
So when it came to the awakening, now the cover art here, which is my art, which was created on Easter Sunday 2015, and the title of this artwork is The Awakening. And at that point in time, I was kind of struggling with my life. I was running two businesses. I had a wife, I had two little kids. I just picked up this dilapidated house that I'm in right now. and we had a little farm going, and it was craziness. And I had been struggling for a long time, and I decided that I was going to go out to a tree house that I have about an hour from here, and I was just going to spend a 3-day weekend. And like I never asked for anything for myself, and so I was like, look, I need to go do this. I need some time away. I need to just go sit by a fire in the woods and just hoosah and just relax. And when I did, I started to have all these insights about my life and these visions for like a purpose that I had never considered before. And I started to like see some steps that I could take. And honestly, when I started taking those steps, my life like started to fall apart around me. And what I didn't realize at the time was that had kind of gone through an awakening of sorts that quite a few people have other people have experienced. And what it was kind of incredible in a way, but it was really scary and challenging because I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know how to handle it. And so when I started to learn about all these personal development things and spirituality and all this stuff, I decided that I really needed to pull it together and make it so that anybody could read this or could see these lessons and understand them, because I would encounter people that needed this information, and one-on-one I didn't have the time to tell them what it was. And so the reason that it's called the Awakening Handbook is it's meant to give anyone that's feeling frustrated or confused in their life because of these types of things some tools, information, and guidance as to how they can start the process of learning all this stuff and figuring it out.
One of the great things you actually mentioned is gap. Sometimes in our life we need a gap, and that helps us think that where are we and what do we have to do, what is the next step, is that the path that we are going, is this the right one, or we have to change it. So that's what you did, and it ended up a great result with a great book. Just need to hear some lessons from that book. You said there are 30 lessons there.
Yes.
Can you give us some example? Let's say two of them at least.
So you want an example of a lesson? Okay. So, and this is one that I call one of my core lessons. And this was a lesson that really it changed the way that I looked at my life. And it is a very hard pill to swallow at first if you've never heard this before, but I feel it's really transformative. And it's one I share everywhere. And sometimes it's well received and sometimes it's not. And that is to view each experience in your life as a blessing and or a lesson, as they are often both. And so I'm sorry, I may have a little, my voice has been messed up today. So when we think about our lives, we can think about everybody's had tragedies and traumas, had missteps and failures, and it's very easy to take on kind of a victim mindset about that, and I very much had that. Why did this have to happen to me? Why was I mistreated when I was a kid? How come no matter what, no matter how hard I work, how come I can't get ahead financially? And why did this loved one that I had that I absolutely just adored and was so important in my life, why did that person die? Why did they pass away? I tried as hard as I could in my marriage. How come it failed? All these different things. And, I had a real chip on my shoulder about it. And about a lot of these things, I was pretty angry and disgruntled and defensive. And I had some really amazing people that saw something in me and they mentored me. And I don't even know where this lesson came from per se. Like I don't know the source. I just remember it showing up. And what I realized was that each of our experiences, and often the most painful of them, are the ones that become our greatest gifts, our greatest strengths. And I outline this better in the book, obviously, and really go into what some of those tragedies and traumas, the gifts that they turn into for us. And the thing is this, those experiences, they were given to us as gifts of experience so that we could gain these strengths, so that we could be the people that we are today, so that we can move forward and be the people that the world needs us to be tomorrow. And so when you can really ratchet your mindset, your head, your perception around, and look at all those things that hurt you or didn't go your way, and see them kind of as they're that's your path lining up to lead you here. It is very transformative, and it does take a little while to kind of bring all that stuff around, but once you do and you see it that way, it can be really huge.
That's beautiful. You're right. Trauma's always trying to warn you that you have to change something, you have to shift something, or you may go to higher level of your awareness, or something in your life should be shifted to something else. So there is some great abilities in you that I can see. You are an artist. I know you play guitar and you actually paint. That's great. So, how much creativity and your art helped you go through this path?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I've always I've always turned to my art when I really was at my wits' end with things. Um, and I don't create art necessarily every day. It's really when I feel like it that I do that. And like when it came to something like this, okay, now this artwork here is spray paint and Sharpies. It was done on a picnic table in the woods with 3 or 4 cans of spray paint and a couple of Sharpies. That was all I had. But I knew that I was going to produce this work of art. Not this one. I knew I was going to make a work of art at that time. I had planned ahead. I brought the stuff with me and said, on the third day, I'm going to create a work of art. And I probably hadn't done that in a long time at that point. So you can, and when you see this artwork, even on the cover of this book, and you really look at it, you can see just the emotion and the bursting and all these energies at work. And this artwork was so powerful that I wound up sending copies of it to people all over the world. That a lot of times for people that had tragedies, I had some people I went to school with, high school with, and some of them had lost some family members and things of that nature. And I used this artwork and I would send it to them to uplift them and give them something bright and happy that they could latch onto. So my art is something that's really, I feel that it's for me, and I actually keep a lot of it under wraps. But when I show stuff to people, they go pretty nuts. Oh, while we're talking about it, so here's another example, and this is something that I put together for, it was my ex-wife when she had our second son. She had a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and we had this really great team of women that helped all of us make it through. She had a doula and a midwife and a bunch of stuff. And so all these ladies. So I made this artwork afterwards, which was a conglomeration of an artwork I did a long time ago and a poem that I had written. And I put it together, and I mailed this to them. It's a little hard to see there, but you can see that it's this beautiful pen drawn artwork called Creation, and it's got a poem on here that I wrote, and it says, "They said it was he who turned on the light. They said it was he who brought on the night. But when the earth bangs and shatters again, who is it you will be worshiping then? What if it were she who caressed the bath and created the living aftermath of all things great and small, from the shores of the ocean to the mountains tall? Is the core made of stone, or is it love? And does the warmth really come from above?" And
Wow.
so I sent that out to each one of the ladies as a thank you. And I still have it here sitting in my office. So
Wow.
it just gives you just a little snapshot about kind of how I am and what art means to me and how I've used it through the years just to express myself and express my emotions. And it's just something that I almost can't not do.
Wow. You are amazing. You have a lot of experience and you're very talented, very creative. We're going to talk about other comments here. We have some people here join us. Let's go for a few second break and we come back again.
Okay.
Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and order my book Rules of Change for the Better. Tune up your mood and transform your life to reach your biggest dreams. All right then. So we are back here. We have Kelly here. I know you know Kelly, and she's one of the best. She said, "I love my copy of your art, Andy." And she also says, "He's very talented." Yes, he is. And his creativity inspires. And also, there are some questions you may answer. One of them saying, "What happens with a victim mindset and what can we do with this?"
Well, so what happens with a victim mindset? You remain a victim, or you view yourself as a victim. And a lot of it is about your perception of these things. And it's kind of crazy because the stories that we tell other people are the stories that we tell ourselves, right? That's how we get so good at telling them. And so if you want to know about me, maybe you'll ask a question. And if I have that victim mentality, a lot of times I'll want to tell you something horrible that happened to me. So you can go, "Oh my God, that's horrible. Oh, you must have been so scared," or right? Like, and you almost get addicted to that. And I don't know if that's because, like that's how you get attention from your parents or your guardians. The only time if you had a big family or something, the only way to get attention was to get sympathy, right? Now I didn't come from a big family, but I think that I came from a family that had a lot of ancestral trauma that had been passed down generation to generation. And I had been a recipient of that because if you looked at it from the outside, our lives were amazing. And we really did a lot of incredible stuff. But there was all this underlying kind of emotional stuff, baggage that was unresolved. And it's called catabolic energy, and it sits like a ball in your gut here, and it like clogs up your chakras or something. And so when when you have that victim mindset, you're really like, I don't, trapped in a way. It's very hard to maneuver in your life because that stuff, it weighs you down. It's like dragging an anchor through concrete. And so obviously it's really good to work past that and to find a way to work past that, right? And so there are many different ways to start working around that victim mindset, but one of the simplest ways, and this is I think number 3 lesson, and that is to begin a practice of gratitude and to start to begin to actively be grateful for what you have in your life. And then as you start to go down the road of that process, you can actually start adding in there things that aren't really in your life that you would want to be. And you speak about them in the present tense using I am statements. And it will start to, and I know that for a lot of people out there, it sounds a little bit like magic, but it will start to draw those things to you. And that is really the fascinating aspect of a lot of personal development, is what you find is that you become a deliberate creator rather than creating by default in your life. And I outline some ways to begin an active process of gratitude, not just, yeah, I feel grateful for this. Not like that. To do written statements, I give the structure and the outline. And some of this stuff, it's stuff that I was taught by other people. There are some things in here that I developed on my own. And a lot of times I say, this is what works for me. There's a lot of room for play here. There's a lot of room for customization. So I encourage that because obviously different things work for different people.
Great. So I see you have some free gifts here, right? You have another ebook, or that's the same thing?
No, so this is, well, first of all, I love free gifts, don't you? I
Well,
mean,
everybody does. Yeah.
yeah, everybody loves free gifts. So that was why it was so much fun to do this. So the ebook, the Mindful Manifestation, okay, that is just little short phrases and little food for thought type of things. So that would just be something, you're not getting in depth like the book. You're just gonna, let's say you're drinking your coffee and you're feeling a little logy and you're like, all right, let me pop this up on my phone, get a little inspiration, little pick me up. That's what that's for. And then the other free gift is anybody that is ready, anybody that wants to, they get to go on a 30-day journey with me. So we'll do one lesson per day throughout the month of August, where we get together and go through the lesson together. And then we get to grow together through the month of August, because I know for sure that I'm going to be growing through the month of August as I go through these lessons again. I've read this book 4 times this week. And I tell you what, I know I wrote it, and I've probably read this book 20 times between the time I wrote it and now. And sometimes it just makes me feel so incredible, because it's a great reminder, and we all need that. And even for myself, I go, oh yeah, that's right. So and every time I feel that I'm growing, I feel like I wrote this book for myself. And then and then you know what? You know how I know it works? Because I'm manifesting the life of my dreams, and I'm doing it right now. That's how you know it works, because I wasn't doing that before I wrote this. Not really. So that's the beautiful thing about it, is it just keeps bringing itself to fruition over and over.
Beautiful. I have audiobook. I mean, I have 3 versions of my books, Rules of Change for the Better, and one of them is audio. interesting part is sometimes I just listen to that audio and I cry because there are some part of my life there and I like, oh my goodness. So I try to remember what happened to me and why I gonna remember because I just wanna remind myself where I was and where I am right now. So that's so powerful, and especially because it's your personal story, it's
Yeah,
always touching, even for yourself. For
yeah.
yourself, you remind yourself what happened to you.
I share a lot of myself in this book, and when I do, I use examples from my own life to explain why these lessons are relevant and why they were important. So that and I want people to, when they're reading through this, because I really feel like this is a beginner's manual. Okay, this is meant for people that maybe haven't heard of personal development before, or those notions and that vocabulary. I mean, chapter 1 is what is manifesting. Chapter 2 is what is the life of your dreams, because a lot of people have never thought of that stuff. Okay, and so I share a lot of myself in this book so that people will know that I'm not trying to be, oh, hey, look how smart I am. I know all this stuff. No, it's that this stuff came to me for a reason. And I feel so compelled to share it in a non judgmental fashion. I don't ever want anybody to feel like they're being put down. And I really just want to give people that spark of inspiration so that so it can spread like a wildfire through their life. And then when they do start living the life of their dreams, it just spreads to their friends, their family, their coworkers. And we're starting to see that just a week in. People are really like, whoa, what is this? I want to read this. What are you talking about? And it's going to be so incredible to watch it just spread all around us in every direction.
Beautiful, Andy. I really enjoyed talking to you and really enjoyed what you're doing. You are very talented, and I'm sure that your book really worth reading, and hopefully everyone get the lesson. When you are in trauma, there are some hidden things there that you have to discover something in yourself, that this path that you're going may be wrong, or you may need shift something, or so thank you so much for being here, and hopefully you have another book and be, yeah, just continue this path
For
to,
sure.
yeah, bring more awareness to the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And anybody that's ready for that shift, come on along.
Yes, thank you so much.